Welcome to the weekly moon cycle reading, and I have some special guests that you have seen before, and y'all love them. Say hi, special guests.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
We have Sandra Massey from Sandra Massey's amazing Amazon product reviews on YouTube, and we also call her Sailor Moon, and we have Repurposed from Repurposed's tarot reviews on YouTube as well. I almost said Amazon.
Not there yet.
Girl, you better get that commission. Anyway, so excited to talk about what is coming up this week in the moon cycle reading. Just get this new feeling for the new year, whatever else seems to come up. So how are you all feeling today?
Ready for this new year, ready for this new moon.
Yes. Okay. So we got a new moon today on Sunday in the sign of Capricorn. And so that's actually really interesting because not only do we have this new moon in Capricorn, but we also have Mercury in Capricorn, and Mercury is going to be going into retrograde later on in January, but we are in the preshadow, but that Mercury and Capricorn energy. We also have Venus in Capricorn, which has been retrograde, is going to continue to be retrograde until late January, February. I have to look at the dates for that. So we have this Capricorn energy that's just, moving about. And then we also know that Sailor Moon loves Capricorn, so she's gonna tell us.
I have so many many people around me in my life that are Capricorn, and I really like the energy. However, this last couple of weeks I've been a little I don't know, I just feel like anxiety about money and money stuff, that kind of like, I don't know. I'm usually pretty laid back about money, but this last 2 weeks, and that had nothing to do with like Christmas spending and stuff like that. It was more like all this energy in my mind about how can I make more money, and have this anxiety about it. And I'm like, oh my God, I just need to chill.
Yeah.
Sometimes my earth placements just kind of like exacerbate, like they're like, okay, you want everything, you need to have it all.
what just recently happened was that Jupiter just went back into Pisces out of Aquarius, and it's going to go back into Aquarius. But Jupiter is that planet of expansion, and so if it was used to thinking from an Aquarius perspective, then going into that Pisces perspective, which is like a different kind of feel, it's like kind of like dreaming, like what is it like, how do you grow and how do you expand? And then with all of this Capricorn energy, like you were saying, it's the practicality. It's like feeling safe, feeling secure, having a strong foundation, having something that's like, like you can't push it over and knock it over. And I think that Mercury energy as well is going to make us all feel that way, especially like, because it's like, Capricorn energy about that, like building foundation institutions, your business, stuff like that. It's going to give us a lot of time for reflection, but always, in my opinion, y'all know I'm not doom or gloom. I think always for the better, because it's just like, like how do you, just to make you feel better, I mean, what was your experience when it was coming up for you?
My anxiety?
Girl, same.
Listen, it was just like there was one day I couldn't sleep. I don't remember which day was it of this past week, that I just couldn't sleep, just like thinking about all the things that can be done. Like, I know that's crazy, but it's just like, I just started thinking about all the stuff that can be built and done and accomplished, and I just felt so overwhelmed because I wanted to do it like right now. Like, okay. I want to pop up this bed in the middle of the night, and I wanted to conquer the world. I cannot wait. And I'm like, I have to wait at least until 6 o'clock in the morning to go conquer the world. So I kept on laying down, but I couldn't sleep.
Similar. So I had built a whole like Trello board, because like I just felt like with every, like all the hats I wear, I was like, this is all over the place. I can't keep it together in my head anymore. So like I was like literally in front of this computer, lying in my bed, just being funky for like 2 days just to get everything done. And once I did, I was like, I feel so much better. Cause it felt like what is, you know, like it just felt like, whoa, like it needed structure.
It does need structure. Sometimes if you don't have structure, it's really overwhelming. And that's what I was, you know, I was like, man, I need to have structure because I can't do everything, but I wanted to do everything. It's just crazy. Let me see.
Oh, I pulled this card talking about feeling safe, you know, safety and things like that, like things that we're doing to ultimately have our safety coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I mean, what is the best thing then to start? Like, I know that, you know, most of us don't feel like a big change from one year to another until things start kind of rolling. But what's the best thing then to start a new year feeling safe? You know, like feeling like you have something to go into that doesn't feel chaotic.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a lot of chaos in my life at one point that I didn't know what was happening or what was going to happen. So to be honest, I feel much better when I don't. I mean, a little bit is good, you know, but like, it's good to know that that is something good waiting for you on the horizon of things.
I feel more in control 2022. Like 2021, I felt like was like, it was supposed to be the promise of 2020. It was like everything was supposed to miraculously go back together. But like it was just a lot of like change and like, you know, adjust, be very like, you know, like flexible. But 2022, I'm like, nah, I gotta, like, I'm about to body this. That's how I feel.
I think that's like, you really kind of nailed it on the head there, because that's definitely like, I've had anxiety, and it has a lot to do with not being in control and not being able to control everything, and not accepting that you can't, you know, that I can't control everything. And so going into 2022, like as I was reading my cards as well, it was kind of giving me a lot of messages of, you know, making decisions, working on manifestations, like focusing more on the positive, you know, energy, trying to raise my vibration, I guess, as they say, and like just get out of that rut of like things that are out of your control. Like, all right, it's out of your control. So what are you going to do else? You know, what can you focus on else? And I think even with this new moon today, like this is a good time to start those, you know, those goals. What are you manifesting for the year? What are you manifesting for the month? You know, what's your long-term goals? We talked about our planners and our journals. And I really like that the one that I use often prompts that, like it prompts you to plan it out. It wants you to do, what are you doing next year? What are you doing in 3 years? So I may not be able to think that far out, but I definitely can think out for this year and for this month. And I think that's the good kind of new year energy you want to have. I don't really believe in the, like, we're going to have what do they call it? The new things you do, the resolutions. Like you can do that anytime. You can start today, or if you can't start till next week or till the beginning.
They're talking about these resolutions. Go ahead.
It's like, so be it.
I stopped doing resolutions a long time ago because it's so like empty. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
So here's my theory on resolutions. So I feel like most resolutions people don't complete. It is what it is. But I do believe, like, you know how like when you have a collective space, if you're working with people, whatever work you do, the more people who do it, the stronger it is. I am a strong believer that like those first 2 weeks of the new year is a really strong collective energy of like a push. But then after that, you got to figure out how to do it on your own. So I like to think of it from a strategic perspective. What can I get going right now? Boom, 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 boom. Figure it out, figure out the structure. And then afterwards, just have to do the tough stuff of just keeping it going and doing the work. Instead of
you disagreeing with me, the manifestations, yay. It's like that meme, manifestations or resolutions. Like,
oh, okay. I could say that. My bad.
Explore more.
Yeah.
I don't know how you ladies feel about it, but like I always struggle with, you know, as a good Pisces that I am, I always struggle with discipline. Like I'm the most I'm just messy. Like And this is the one thing that has been bothering me for a while, like literally a long while. 10 years ago, like when you have the Facebook memories,
Yeah.
I had like something from 10 years ago saying like you have to have more discipline on this year, and that was like literally a decade ago. So when I mean a while, is a long while. So that's one thing that I want to work on this year. Yet again, I feel like the self development is never ends for discipline, and I definitely want to have it. And I think that the journaling and planning and keeping yourself in check, even if it's to yourself, you're reading there something that you put it down that you want to do, I think it helps out a lot. I'm thinking a lot of ones too. I just got page of ones, I got 8 of ones, like a lot of movement, a lot of
I'm getting the like, look what I just pulled.
I got page of ones too. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, like I'm getting a lot of like do the work, and I feel like I was recently thinking about like at least for myself, I was thinking from the perspective of like not like what is your impact, but what could you impact, and what is the amount of work it takes to get there, and like how is it that if I don't continue to like do the work, it won't ever get there. So it's not like guaranteed I'm going to do something, but I can if I put that effort into it. But I think a lot of times people get winded. Like I know, at least on the online space, people get like burnt out.
Yeah, they do.
And people get burnt out in everyday life too. And so I'm just like, how can I work smarter, not harder? And also, how can I remove the fear of like things that aren't important? Like just like I don't know, it's just like unnecessary fear of things that I've already done before. And it just, you just have it sometimes. And I'm just like, I don't have time for this. It's getting in my way. I got things I got to do. I got to be able to, keep pushing forward. I just don't have time. And I realized that when I don't have something to do, my mind wanders and I start fearing more. But if I can like push past it and get into the rhythm of something, then I don't really think about it. I just think about, okay, well, let me plan this. It makes me feel like more structured, like more safe, honestly.
Yeah, but I think feeling your time to not feel fear though, that's the thing.
What'd you say?
Like, are you feeling your time up? So just you don't fear the things. Like that's something you gotta to think about. I feel like, because sometimes, like, I hate to be still, right? I always gotta be doing something. Like I barely rest. But then sometimes I'm like so tired. This is like get me at once, and I'm like, well, maybe if I wasn't just like rolling like a steamroller over everything and taking time to rest, I would have less downtime. So exhausted.
I keep getting this 2 of Wands. It keeps coming with all my pulls.
Right? Yeah.
Getting these wands. I think for me, I can come up with an excuse not to do something and figure out how to do the bare minimum and make it all work. And I think for the problem is I want to be more disciplined, which I can be, but like, when you just feel like, it's like you took a break. For me, I took a break and now I'm trying to get my mind back onto like getting going. And it's just that little like just get over that first hill and it'll be okay. But it's just like the first hill is like, I don't really need to do anything. Girl, if you don't get up and go do something, even telling people no, like I was very like recently, because I've been more and more work focused, I'm like telling people no, like, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that. First and foremost, no, because the vid is out here. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I just like, I really don't have the time. I feel like time escapes me. Even when I'm working, it escapes me because it's like doing all of these things, doing this thing, doing that thing. And then when you have one idea, it makes you jump to another idea. And it's like, I have a lot of uninterrupted space. And I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to have this in my life. Like, I feel like I got to get out everything I need to get accomplished now.
Yeah, I'm sure that you're working on that with the planning, though. Like we were talking about how that planning for now, later, and far off future kind of lets you align all those goals up together, and just keeping in mind not to overwhelm and taking it a day at a time.
and come up with almost like a new strategy of thinking. That's kind of like what is coming across to me. So what do you have? The Temperance.
We got a 6 of Wands.
Wands. So
I got Temperance, so that means, gotta take a break a little bit and balance it out. Kind of like what we're talking about, balance energies of creation and rest. Because that has been such a an old kind of concept too. I mean, if you think about even in the Bible, God worked and then he rest. Like you have to work hard on creation, but you also have to take time to rest and think about your creations, because if you're just like doing it, then I feel like we lose touch with the stuff that we are doing because we don't stop and look at it and try to be better.
Can't see the progress too. I know when I'm in the thick of something and just going, I'll make movement and won't even be able to notice it because I'm just like, it's like I can't see it. It's like, is it where I need it to be? Like doing too much. How do you all feel like the energy of this week is, with today being this new moon? So starting this new like moon cycle of the month, and by the end of the week, we'll be going into, by next Sunday, we'll be going into the first quarter. So, people are going to come against their New Year's resolutions or New Year's manifestations, a little bit of the challenge, and it's going to wear off the novelty of the newness and things like that. But how do you all feel for this upcoming week, this first week of the year?
I think, going off it being the new moon, I think it's a great time to get those, if you want to call them, what do you call them again? Resolutions.
You call them whatever you want to call them, okay?
Your manifestations, whatever you want to do, this is the perfect time to do it. I feel like a lot of people might get that hung up in their head. Oh, I didn't do it on the 1st. It's too late. I'm already on the 2nd. I'm already on the 3rd. Like whenever you start it, just start it. Start it now. Start it tomorrow. Just get it started doing something. And at least you're moving forward toward it so that when you come back around to check your progress in another month, 2 months, 3 months, you could say, okay, because I started that on that day, now I'm making it. And this is like a very good time. I feel like this is the energy. Like you said, how everybody's kind of have that collective energy. I do think that's a good time to work on those goals and manifestations, like getting them going.
I saw that like this kind of meme where it was like, or just like a post where they said, it's not about being perfect. It's just about being consistent. And I'm like, hey,
consistency is everything.
Yeah. I felt that.
Yep.
I felt that.
Consistency is everything. I'm really excited. I feel like it's so much new, but it's nothing new. It's just like regular life, but it's just like the energy inside feels like it's new. It's at least renewed.
Yeah.
For a new cycle, of like this 365 days, because I mean, I don't know, 2021 was rough on many ends, and I feel like there was so much hope coming from 2020. That was like a very, very bad year, and then like it was like, okay, in 2021 things are going to magically resolve themselves, and everybody had that energy of like 2021 was going to be so good, and then it wasn't. And I mean, personally, it wasn't a bad year, but if you look at like so many crazy stuff happening all over the world, so you're like, oh man.
And honestly, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that I feel like at least I hope for that 2022 is at least a little bit more milder than the last 2 years for people. It's like a little easier. Can be easier.
And I think that it's kind of unrealistic for there to have been, like myself included, to think that like 2021 was going to be like you put everything back together, because I think anything, like with any conflict in life or any transition in life, there's a transitional period, and that transitional period isn't typically structured. It's like things are being put together, so it's like it kind of seems like that makes sense that it wasn't, but I think people were so like emotionally traumatized by the fear that 2020 had, that they were really looking for hope. Like they would tell themselves, which I don't think is a bad thing, anything really, to kind of be like, look, just gotta make it, just gotta make it, just gotta make it. But then I think the cool thing about it is that the people had a lot of power in that, like, what do you want to do? Since life was flipped upside down, like, you can decide what you want to do. You don't have to do the same thing that you've been doing before. What do you want to do? And I think that was a little bit scary for people, because some people wanted things to just go back to the way that it was. And then others, you know, they did, like, you know, seize the opportunity. But I think it's like a mentality shift too. It's like, you're a new person. Like, you have it almost kind of erased, I don't want to use the word karma, but erased maybe the habits. Like, you had to form some new habits, form some new way of thinking. And it's up to you if you'd like to go into a new chapter, if you want to, like, put back together old ways of doing things. And I think a lot of people stepped into, like, new power because of that uncertainty. They wanted to build something in their life that was certain. So they're like, look, I'm going to put all of this into X, Y, and Z. You know, the great resignation. People are, I'm talking crazy.
Yeah. Anti-work.
That is definitely a revolution going on that in the world that we
You pulled the same card I did, the Knight of Swords.
Yep.
Oh, I have a sword too. I have the 7 of Swords.
I also keep
I just pulled that. I just pulled the 7 of Swords.
You did.
So what are you all getting from that? What is it that you're getting from?
Well, I'm pulling them in duos and in trios to try to see, you know, because I know the swords can be sometimes one of the scarier, you know, pulls.
Yeah.
You know, it gives you that, like, alert, like, sword. I guess it's like a base
People
knowledge.
are so afraid of the death or the devil, but really, them swords are really talking about you, like, being up at night, being stressed out.
But it's like, I kind of think of it as a warning more than like doom and gloom. It's like trying to help you to figure out what's happening. Like when you see the Knight of Swords, and knowing that yes, things are going to come out, things are going to be found out, but it's from a place of healing. Oh yeah. You know, you got to take the blindfold off and know what you want to do. Like, that's always what I think of that when I see that one. It's like, what do you want to do? Like, make a decision, kind of. You know, you're at a crossroads and it is what it is. Yeah. But at least you know, like, it's better than the unknown.
Oh, yeah. When you're prepared for stuff, even if it's bad stuff, it's better than not being prepared at all.
Yeah. The best you do. You just do the best.
And it's interesting with the elements of what swords and wands represent, like swords representing the air and wands representing fire, which are astrological opposites as well. Like the fire signs are opposite the air signs. So it's kind of like this delicate balance that's like happening right now of, like, you know, having to have the mentality versus taking the action. You don't want to just be taking a lot of action with no plan. But then also at the same time, you don't want to just be sitting, planning, and taking no action. So finding like this like balance in between, which ultimately I think leads to more of these like grounding earth Capricorn qualities of like I think of it like this. Like when I think of like fire, or fire signs, I think of like, take the action. What am I doing? When I think of like air sign, I think of like, you know, like this kind of like mental, like, what am I thinking? This kind of internal kind of thing. When I think of the water, I think of the different emotions, but on different levels, from the physical body all the way to the like astral plane. But when I think of earth signs, I think of a little bit of fire and consistency. So what have I been doing over and over and over and over and over again that I feel comfortable with? And I think this is a period of time where people are trying to establish that. They're trying to work through the kinks of things and figure out like, how do I get into my stride kind of energy? That's like what's coming up for me.
Ditto. All of that.
All of that. How are you?
How you did that?
Huh?
I would say that the earth signs is more like and it's, you know, like the perception that I have from them is like, so it's, you know, what am I doing for fire signs? Mm-hmm. What am I thinking for air signs? What am I feeling for water signs? And what do I have for earth signs?
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to look at it.
You know, like what I have, what is my possession? What is my reign? They are very like grounded to the physical thing. For a long time, I did have no touch with what I have side. I think that because of my heavy water placements that I have, it was like, okay, it's either like, what am I feeling or what am I thinking? But I never had like a touch onto things or accomplishments, you know. So now that I have surrounded myself more with earth signs, and I like that because I feel like it gives me more balance, I have seen the value of owning and having things to pride of, even if it's not a physical possession, like, oh, expensive, whatever, but a accomplishment or something that you work for a long time, because that's the earth energy, is that like non-stop working on something to get the best out of it. And it's something that you can be proud of, that you can show off, even if it's like your body. You can see that a lot of earth people have like nice worked out bodies, you know, because that requires discipline to get and consistency to get, and that is the earth energy, and I like that.
Why you laughing, Repo?
I'm laughing about it because it's just funny, but also it more on point is that it makes me think of how different people can view them differently and feel differently. You know, your past and your placements can really affect the way that you perceive when you pull these cards, and when the energy's around you as well. Like, what are you feeling? How does it affect you? It's going to affect everyone differently depending on their personalities, past, and placements.
And I think what's really cool is that we're feeling this very like earthly energy, and for those who are earth signs, it might be a kind of little bit more intuitive for them to kind of work through it. But I also think the combination of whatever, you know, strong placements you have in your chart, or, you know, positions that were there when you were born, with the planets can help. Because when, you know, you were talking, Sailor Moon, when you were talking, I was just thinking like, oh, wow, okay, so a lot of water and Piscean energy into Capricorn. It then makes me think like, well, if you want something, you're able to connect the dots to get it. Whereas sometimes when people are to earth, they only want practical things. But it's like bringing the dream out and figuring out how to make it come into like fruition. So then I could see that there, or like applying some air concept or applying some fire concept into, you know, these different things too. So I think everyone has, there's no one, I don't feel like there's anyone that has like a bad like placement. I simply feel like it's just, how are you going to use what you're good at, apply it to these new things that like the universe is bringing up right now, and get the best out of it, or whatever, you know, you are like wanting to learn right now. Because I just feel like, I don't know, I'm one of those people, not to get too far out there, but I'm one of those people who feels that, you know, we chose this experience. Like, we chose the life that we had. We chose the set of circumstances and experiences, but not because of like bad or good, but simply because the soul is evolving. And maybe it's like above the human consciousness to even understand why we would choose a set of circumstances that maybe weren't so good or something like that. But ultimately, like, everything that even is a challenge is still an opportunity of like evolution and growth, of like understanding in new ways. And so this time period, I feel like, can also be a time of like evolution and growth and discovering things about yourself you didn't even realize, like, oh shoot, you could do this, this, and that.
Yeah. I got this.
Oh, I love that
here.
one.
And I'm not sure how to say the whole name, so I'm just gonna call it Aquila. And the myth stands for growth, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you have to
never not broken, right?
Even if you break out, you know, you have to break to regroup again. So that's not easy to do. It puts you in a vulnerable space, but it's growth. You know, when you recoup again, you grew out of it, you learned something out of it, you know?
I particularly that card, like, I loved it so much because I think about that never not broken saying that they attached to that goddess.
Yeah.
And like the fact that she has the gold pieces on her that shows that even though she's broken, like, she's held together by something precious. And like that makes you as your experiences.
I love that.
And you hold pride on your breakings and on your scars, because everybody has it. Like everybody had a moment where shit went wrong. Oh, sorry, attached. Where stuff went wrong,
Yeah,
and now you
no,
have to
it went
regroup.
left.
And sometimes we don't give, like, I don't feel like we give the enough TLC to our scars and breaks, and we want to hide, or it's something that we won't want to show, but it's good to hold yourself with all your pieces proudly.
And it makes you like stronger. And I'm not saying it makes you like you should go through trauma to make you stronger. I'm not saying that at all. But like going through the process of being, experiencing something challenging, experiencing something traumatizing, or compiling like, traumatizing experiences, and then finding a way to bring yourself back together, to regroup, to be whole. That's the process I'm talking about, which makes you stronger. Not the fact that you went through something and now you look resilient, but how did you make peace with that on like a soul level, on an energy level? And then if you can make peace with that, some of these little things that we experience day to day, is that really that big of a deal? Like sometimes for me, when I get overwhelmed by like, just little things that aren't that important, sometimes I like to go outside and look at the stars, because I'd be looking up and I'm just like, wow, like we are like cells on the earth. We might even be too small to be like cells on the earth. And like my individual problems are so insignificant. Like these stars, some of these stars have already burned out. And by the time it takes the light to get here, we don't even know. My problems are like so small and minute in the universe. Why am I even stressing? Because it always seems to work out, like.
Yeah. 100%. I think I like to credit a lot of my healing into turning to the universe, looking into the universe. When things were really bad, I started looking at stars and understanding a little bit more about the universe. Kind of like gave me a new perspective, and it helped me heal and be happier and go for things. Because exactly what you said, we are nothing. We are like stardust in this planet, out of like immense, like it's so big that we cannot even imagine or really understand. So like might be so many other planets out there with jets and repurposed and sailor moons. We don't know, and independent of our existence, things are going to happen one way or another, because it's just happening. It's just how time goes, Like when I see so many people get so angry about like politics and who is going to be this person and who's going to be the person, like your life is going to happen independent of who is in this governing body of the country that you leave. You just like, you make your existence so small by putting so much energy on what is inside of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That you forget to live your life, because presidents are going to come and go, people on the boards are going to come and go, culture and feds are going to come and go. Your life is going to come and go too. So what are you putting your energy in? On what's happening outside, or what you can accomplish actually, what the difference that you can make?
I feel like it's like a balance. Like the first balance is like well, I'll start from the other side. I feel like the first balance is, what are we doing as like an individual? Like everything is, like limitless. Like if we connect with our energy, if we do whatever we need to do on our, journey of how we understand the universe and get aligned with that. I mean, you could do things that people would not expect you to be able to do. Maybe someone like you, someone from your set of circumstances. So having to have that strong grounding. And then on the other side, which is like when you're out there in the world, making sure that like you're doing something to change the narrative so that people understand that it's like, no, it's not how things always been. Kind of like that age of like Pisces going to the age of Aquarius. It's not how things have always been. It's not the structure. So like saying and doing and like advocating, but I think people get lost in one or the other. Sometimes people are so like into the external that they don't even realize the power they have on the inside. They feel like unless I can make this happen on the outside, I won't be worthy on the inside. And then on the opposite side, where it's like people could feel so like, you know, like, okay, the only thing that matters is here, but then kind of not realize that they also have power. You know, I mean, I kind of like reflect on this in that like the things that I say, even though I feel like, you know, I'm like an individual, I can do whatever I want, but I feel like the more that like I grow, the more that I have reach with people, the more I am like mindful of like, okay, well, let me say something that actually means something, you know, but then at the same time, letting people know like they got to have their own understanding of the universe. They got to have their own understanding of like, what is their foundation, but it's like this balance, like, just like you said, you can't get so caught up in everything else outside of you that like you miss your whole life, you know. And people, I think they just kind of like when you have pulled temperance, like they're just like struggling with this, like knowing how to balance. They feel like it has to be black and white, it has to be this way or it has to be that way, but just like flowing through that energy. I'm done. And I just pulled the tower.
Yeah, I put Isis.
Oh, you pulled Isis?
Yeah.
What you were just talking about, things like breaking, falling apart, for it to come back together, and like, you know, just that big change.
Does that give the sense to you that like this energy is trying to tell us that at one point on this new year things are going to break down and we're going to have to recoup, or do you think that that's thinking more like on the past?
I think it's more of like things should break down, like the mental structures, the way that you structure your life, it should break down, because if it didn't get you to where you want to go, maybe it got you to a certain point, but if it's not getting you to your next dream, your next goal, let it break down and rebuild it, you know. But I feel like we hold so close to us the way that we do and think things and, you know, stuff like that, that it feels like a loss to have to let go of like this roadmap that we built for ourselves. But it's like, it's now you're too big for that roadmap. So I think it's a good thing, you know, but I think that if a person isn't balanced, they can see this energy as like, this is bad, this is bad. And I had pulled Oya as well too. So like getting this strong feeling of like change, like, yes, the change is going to come, but it's up to you. Like you got to put in the work to do the change and like be, you know, like be open to the change. What about y'all? What y'all feel from it?
I definitely, I'm feeling with everything you're saying. Like, I thought it was interesting that I pulled that Knight of Wands, because that's the energy of like kind of throwing it all to the wind and just go do what feels good. Like follow the path of least resistance almost, and like do what you've been wanting to do, but you've been scared of. And there could be a repercussion, and you know, keep rolling with it. Keep taking that creative energy and like balling it up and keep moving forward with it. I feel like that's how it's very like immediately, that's how I feel coming. Like it may not be perfect for everybody, but everybody has to work on what is perfect for them at that second. Like what can you do to mitigate your circumstances, I guess to say.
How do you feel about, you know, if people were kind of playing small and now they're like, okay, they have something they want to work on, but it requires them to be more visible, more out there. How do they work through that? Because things could be going well, and that could cause, you know, internal issues if they've been like so small.
I think that's when you just have to kind of lean on your tribe, your people around you, because not everyone can pull that energy together on their own. So it is what it is. Not everyone can pull that together. And even if it is their time or it's a good point for them, until they're ready mentally, it just kind of reminds us to support our sisters and brothers that need it, because they might just need that one little, you know, hold that part of the table, and then that's all they needed, like to get them rolling and get them going.
That was so sweet.
You are a sweet person with focus.
That's so crazy, because you know she don't got no feelings, so.
I love that nice energy.
How do you feel?
We only have so much nice energy in here because we don't have any Scorpios. Just kidding.
Well, my rising sign is
I
Scorpio.
do not want to start a riot. I do not want to start a riot.
That's your rising sign?
Huh?
That's your rising sign?
Yeah.
Yours? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's it.
Oh, it's so funny.
You always know what to say. How do you feel? Do you feel like this energy is going to be like kind of the question that you had asked? Sailor Moon?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that at one point, things are really bad for, this year or any other year, because
you're hoping it will be very bad?
At least once in the near future. At least personally for me, because hear me out. I have been writing I had some really bad times, and that good things emerged from it. I have been riding a really good wave for the past 3 years of really good things happening for me. And it's starting to building up some fear, that overconfidence that the things are so good and nothing is bad. And I feel like I'm unlearning how to deal with the negative emotions. And it's kind of like making me anxious a little bit. So I hope that at least one bad thing happens this year. It doesn't need to be like the worst thing ever. But if something bad happens this year, I can relearn how to deal with bad, because I'm afraid that I will just break down if something bad happens. If I have like a really good period.
It's like you're training. You want to keep training.
Yes. Because like when everything bad happens at once, then you go and everything good happens at once. It feels like that is not a balance. I'm scared that bad things are going to happen now because I'm afraid on how I'm going to face them or how I'm going to deal with them, just because nothing bad has happened. And I'm like, oh my God, now is the time. Today is the day. Like every day when I wake up, I'm like, today is the day that stuff's going to go bad, and I don't want to be like that. I want to, I would like for things to be, to deal with bad and good.
Can there be a new way though? Like if that's the way you've always like processed things, can there be like a new way of processing things? Or you feel like this is just the way it works best for you?
Well, I just like, it feels just so anxious. Like, okay, everything is going good, so something is gonna go bad at any given moment. So at least if something goes bad.
Why does it have to go bad?
I don't know though, because it's just, I feel like that's just life. Things are going good and then something bad happens. Doesn't it feel like that?
I think I felt that way before, but I don't want to feel that way now. I
think what she's saying is that it becomes like an anxiety, like of, is something going to happen? Just happen, just get over it. Just happen so that we can go on from it. Like that kind of feeling. You're tired of thinking about it and worrying about it. So once it's here, now you can move past it.
But exactly. You're manifesting it by feeling it.
And that is my fear. That is my fear.
So there's the fear of manifesting fear.
Yes. I'm really afraid of that. I'm actually
when you have a period of your life where you haven't had a lot of loss, you kind of like have gained what you worked on. Those things are wonderful, right? Because it feels really good. Coming from a place where like I had to lose everything that I had to rebuild everything. And then get to that point where things are okay, like where I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I picked myself from the ground and things are, happening well. But it has been a while where I haven't had no loss, no serious problems, no real issues. So it feels like that part of me that deal with conflict and sadness and loss, it's kind of numbed out. And to be honest, I'm afraid that if it takes more time for something bad or a big loss to happen, I'm going to become overconfident and grow that the part of us that deal with issues weak. to the point that, okay, if it takes so long for something bad to happen, when it happens, I might not have the structure, the mental structure to deal with it, and then I'll break down completely.
You are completely letting me know that you have been around Capricorn so much. Because Capricorns will do that. Capricorns will look for the problem in order to like solve it or to get, girl, you might as well, you used to be a Pisces. You not one no more.
I'm not anymore. I'm like a whole bunch of earth signs and fire signs.
Cold, but
Capricorn right now.
I'm feeling the fear. I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's some real stuff, you know. Like, I hope that I have like the mental strength to deal with the problems, but when you are not facing the problems, your resilience kind of grows weak, and you get accustomed into a lifestyle of things being successful to you. I mean, you can see that in many people that like let's suppose somebody that is like we sing that I can't pull a name right now, but let's say Macaulay Culkin. I think that's a pretty good example, and I think he's a Pisces too, which is funny. But you know, this little guy came up and he was like the most famous dude, right, in the 90s for his life, and he made so much money, and then he broke down. You know, and then it took so long. He just now is coming back to doing roles and doing things like 20 years later. Why? Because sometimes things breaks you so bad because you are so confident and so comfortable on your bubble that you cannot recoup. You can never go back to what it was. You die completely. And then, you know, I just want to be ready to not break down. That's all.
You don't feel like it's different though? Like when you're younger and you break down, you don't have the same like skills, but like when you're older, you're able to process things better?
I don't think so. I think it depends.
I think you can do it. Like I think
it depends 100% on where your mental state is. Because you know what? I can like, you know, you can be something so bad that, you know, you're just gonna go smoke meth. You know, and then you never come back again. I'm serious. Like, there's so many people that just don't know how. Like, we've seen it.
Yeah, they don't know. They can't deal, so they do like substance abuse. Yeah,
it's like it's a wave of people that are like living like zombies because they cannot face life. You know.
That's true.
But I'm scared of that. Like I'm no better than anybody.
Like you've already proven yourself. Like I feel like you've already developed the fact that you're even having this thought kind of makes me feel like you already are going to be fine. Like this tragedy will happen all the time, but like I feel like you're gonna be fine.
I hope so. I hope so.
Do you really
and
hope
that's why
so?
I want to deal with the small bads at a time, you know? Small bad things at a time. Something bad, just a little bit. So
well,
I can keep in check.
By next
Sunday, I got judgment.
There we go. By next Sunday, when we have this first quarter, you will get your small bad. Not a catastrophe, but you'll get
not a catastrophe. Just like a small bad things at a time help you be resilient.
You're not wrong. Like challenges and stuff, like that's good. It's good for you.
Like it's just like at work sometimes, you know, I'm like, okay, so now today's the day I did something wrong and they're gonna talk to me about it. But every time they call me, it's like, oh, you were so wonderful. I'm like, just tell me something bad, please.
Girl. Well, everyone, do you all have any final words for our moon cycle reading? We went very deep into a Capricorn rabbit hole, and we learned a lot of stuff about discipline and efficiency. We also learned that if you just hope for small bad things, it can maybe mitigate the big bad things, or you cannot hope for those things at all. Do you all have any final words?
I'll say that on the point of small bad things, everything has a karmic cost. So I kind of, just keep that in mind. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a horrible. Everything has a karmic cost. And what is it, what do you have to pay to get to that goal, that best life?
That was very wise.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have to I don't need to analyze that. Go ahead.
Don't analyze it. I'm just saying that's how I think about it. Like it may seem bad, but when you look back at it in 10 years, maybe it'll be a learning experience, you know?
Can I ask a question to y'all too? Okay, so here's the thing, because maybe I'm thinking bad is different. I'm thinking bad is some like random thing that happens that makes you feel sad. But what if it's just like something that's like say you get a promotion and then you have this new responsibility and you don't know how to do these things and it's uncomfortable? Is that a bad thing?
Not the bad thing that I was thinking about. Okay. I was thinking about more like a
bad thing.
When I think about a bad thing, I'm thinking about like a loss of something that you wanted or loved, you know, loved one, or a cause that you just can a situation that is knotted in the way that is going to bring conflict to your life, or like spending that, you know, like something major happens that you need to spend a large amount of money or investing time in solving it. Those are the bad things, you know, like when you have a good wave of flow, things just happening the way that you envision it, you just can't create like a fake sense of comfort and stillness, you know?
But you know what worries me. Think about in the deck how it goes, like the star and then the moon. Like it starts off with this like hope and everything, and then it kind of goes to it's a little scary, but at the same time it's also like intuition kind of thing, where it kind of like when you fall into that, it gives you a chance to lean with your intuition and use your other skills to try to get you out of it. So that's like a, you know, way those skills.
Like you're saying, like externally it could look bad, but internally it's just an opportunity of like how to get to the other side. I will say, if there's any times where it might feel like, oh my gosh, this is a bad, you know, feeling, I would say that probably this Mercury and Capricorn it'll be Capricorn and then Aquarius. And so we're already in the pre-shadow period. And sometimes Capricorn energy, Mercury with like, you know, communications, sometimes that is it, the fear. Like the fear itself is the whole thing. Like, how do you work through that fear? But the dates are going to be January 14th through February 4th. That's when it's going to go retrograde, and it's going to be out of its shadow by February 24th. So nice. If there's any feeling of like, this is just overwhelming, I think it would be during that time. But I'm kind of getting the feeling that it's just like the fear itself. Like the fear itself is what we're looking at and what we need to experience and like, you know, figure out how to go underneath. So as promised, you will get the tragedy you are looking for.
I'm not looking for it. I'm just like, I just want to be prepared for when it comes.
Yeah.
So I just want like, just, it's good. Trust me. You know, you get growth out of bad stuff too. You know, some good come for the greater, some bad come for the greater good.
Like that? Are you used to manifesting like that?
Well, no, not really. I usually get, you know, the things that I manifest are the things that I find the energy to process inside good stuff and then try to create that somehow in this external world. I'm just getting to a point where I can see that is a lot of loss around me and difficulty around me. And I have been so blessed. And, you know, I understand it's a blessing that things are going the way that I envisioned and planned and worked for. And I'm happy for it. But at the same time, I just want, you know, just pray. And then I want to prepare myself to, if something comes bad, that I have the, you know, mental resilience to deal with. And if it's to come, that comes, you know, rather now than later, because then, you know, I can deal with it and be done with it. But I have really, really good, like, I have a really good feeling for this year. And, you know, everything that I think of is just taking everything that I accomplished so far and taking to the next level. And I hope that people that are out there, like thinking about taking it to the next level, that they just move forward with it. I have this energy, like I have this intuition that this is the year where you pick something that is already good. Like you pick a little seedling plant and this is going to just become a majestic tree. I feel like this is the year for it. I don't know. I just have like so much difficulty happening on the last 2 years with pandemic and bad mojo and juju that I feel like this is 2022. You know, it's just like the numbers, you know, the energy. It will happen. It will happen. Good, great things will happen for all of us. And all of these beautiful people that are watching us having this majestic conversation.
It's like the Piscean energy. She took us from the deepest depths of our soul.
You need to remember the Pisces is the combination of all 12 signs, all 12 energies together. It's like the energy that went around and collected everything. So, you know, we kind of have a little bit of everything. My chart's a little like everywhere though. It's like water, air, fire. I don't have a lot of earth on my natal chart. It's more like air, fire.
So that's why you're like supplementing it outside of you to balance.
Yeah, but you know, we have to have a balance.
That makes sense.
Right? Well, so happy 2022.
Oh yeah, happy 2022. Well, everyone, thank you for stopping by to the moon cycle reading this week. Get your discipline together, get it going as we are still manifesting this energy right now. Do it. And if there is anything that comes up that's a challenge, you're going to be okay. Just figure it out. You got it, you know, and give yourself always enough confidence that you'll always be able to get to the other side. Or you can be like me, which is protect myself and I don't got to experience nothing. I'm just kidding. No, I experienced things. Thank you, y'all. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.